94.9 94.9 FM Dakar.
WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar and Monrovia, 2 p.m. in Pretoria. Good afternoon, and thank you for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM worldwide at wadr.org and on YouTube and Facebook at WADR. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. South African joint security braces for protests as June 30 deadline for migrants' departure elapses.
Those who choose violence, intimidation, destruction of property, or any other criminal conduct should expect immediate law enforcement intervention.
Ghana activates emergency disaster measures as Accra flood death toll rises to 9.
We'll not only break the houses, we have to move the rubble out of the way because there's no use breaking a house and leaving the rubble in the waterway. It's just the same as leaving the house.
ECOWAS Court launches digital platform to ease accessibility to member states and citizens by 2030, and AES Confederation meets to operationalize the bloc's parliamentary body. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
On the news, this is Abdullahi Hassan.
Glad to have you join us. Newslink begins in South Africa, a country on heightened alert as tensions escalate following the expiry of a controversial June 30 deadline calling on undocumented migrants to leave the country. Police have intensified security in several hotspots ahead of planned anti-migrant demonstrations amid growing fears the protests could descend into violence and spark fresh xenophobic attacks. Authorities say security forces are on standby to maintain law and order, while community leaders and rights groups have appealed for calm. Joining us is Sydney Simalani, a resident of Pretoria.
Well, relatively calm, one would say. The hotspots, yes, are there, but nothing major has been reported so far, and we're just waiting. It's still early that one can say anything, but I should think that, so far so good.
Now, you did say that across the country, the atmosphere is kind of calm. Will that be thanks to the preparedness of the joint security sector?
Well, one would say that because there's been a lot of, police preparedness and the security, forces, one would say. So maybe that's, one factor that is controlling what people expected to be, their unrest. But so far, so good. I think the preparedness, has shown, positive fruits so far.
And so that goes to say that there is heavy deployment of security forces.
One would say that, but, it's calm. People have chosen to, to be indoors. And that, is one factor that possibly has calmed the situation right now.
Aside Pretoria, Sydney, what are some of the other areas, say hotspots that security agencies have really considered red zones or hotspots for potential unrest?
Apart from Pretoria, which is the capital, around Johannesburg, there are some few spots that have been identified, and one must know that most of these it will flare from places like Durban, where most of the Zulus are, and where most of the people, like the Malawians, have been assembled, like, places where, they are refugee camps, sort of. This is in Durban. So there's been Durban, Sherwood, and the Limpopo area. So that's the situation as it is. Not much, has been reported, at first.
Sydney Similani, a resident of Pretoria, saying that not much has been reported, but do stay with us as we bring you update about the situation in South Africa as it evolves. Though we still stay there because the joint security has warned against vigilante action and attacks targeting foreign nationals and businesses. The development have revived concerns over the country's long-standing challenges with xenophobic violence and illegal migration. Late Monday, the South African Police Service held a press conference during which these concerns were addressed and fears allayed. Alenda Mate is spokesperson for the police in South Africa.
Law enforcement officers have both the legal authority and operational capability to restore order whenever it is threatened. We therefore call upon every organizer and every participant to exercise your constitutional right respectfully and peacefully. Those who choose violence, intimidation, destruction of property, looting, attacks on public officials, or any other criminal conduct should expect immediate law enforcement intervention.
Alenda Mate, spokesperson for the South African Police Service. Meanwhile, back here in West Africa, the Liberian government has launched an emergency voluntary repatriation exercise for its nationals in South Africa amid rising security concerns. The move follows fears linked to a planned anti-foreigner protest today, June 30. For more on this, let's join Abraham Parker.
The repatriation exercise comes just 2 days after the Liberian Community Association in Durban sent an open letter to President Joseph Boakai calling for urgent government intervention. In the June 24th letter, community leaders raised concerns over delays in handling requests for voluntary repatriation, while Liberia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has urged all Liberians in South Africa to remain calm and to maintain contact with the Liberian Embassy in Pretoria for verified information and assistance. The South African Police Service Monday evening announced readiness to respond to any act of violence. Back in Monrovia, officials say because many Liberians in South Africa are undocumented, the embassy has been issuing emergency travel certificates and working with South African immigration authorities to support safe returns and to help prevent arrest or detention. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Remember, WADR streams live on WADR.org, and we're live on YouTube and Facebook at WADR. Let's now take you to Ghana for an update on Monday's devastating floods in Accra, the Ghanaian capital. The death toll has now increased to 9, with fears of it going up further as emergency responders continue to search submerged communities. President John Mahama has in the meantime announced sweeping measures, including the demolition of structures built on waterways and the immediate release of emergency funds for affected families. From Accra, Nadir Tete reports.
The full extent of Monday's flooding disaster in Accra is only beginning to emerge as emergency workers comb affected communities in search of survivors and victims. Entire neighborhoods remain waterlogged. Hundreds of homes and businesses have been inundated, and many families have been forced to spend the night in schools, churches, and other temporary shelters after floodwaters swept through large parts of the Ghanaian capital. The Ghana National Fire Service says the death toll has now risen to 9, with rescue operations continuing in several flood-hit communities where fears remain that more victims could be trapped. Following an aerial inspection of some of the worst-hit areas, President John Dramani Mahama said Ghana could no longer allow illegal developments to choke drains and waterways, warning that tougher enforcement measures would now be taken to prevent a repeat of the annual disaster.
We'll not only break the houses, we have to move the rubble out of the way, because there's no use breaking a house and leaving the rubble in the waterways, just the same as leaving the house. And so it's going to be quite a major issue in order to resolve the problem of Accra.
The president has also directed the Finance Ministry to release money from the National Contingency Fund to assist relief efforts being coordinated by the National Disaster Management Organization. Authorities say search and rescue operations will continue while engineers assess damaged infrastructure. Weather officials are meanwhile urging residents living in flood-prone communities to remain vigilant, with more rainfall expected in the coming days. For WDR, Nadidi Tete, Accra.
Away from Ghana to the Gambia, Major General Usman Gomez has been confirmed as the new Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambian Armed Forces. President Adama Barrow announced the appointment on Monday as part of a major military reshuffle. Gomez's confirmation comes barely a month after taking over in an acting capacity following the resignation of the former Army Chief, Lieutenant General Mahmoud Cham. Cham, in his resignation letter, cited allegations of misconduct and abuse of power incompatible with responsibilities of the Chief of Defense Staff. Now, the Alliance of Sahel States has moved a step closer to operationalizing its confederal parliament, a body expected to represent citizens of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. This follows a meeting in Ouagadougou between AES legislative leaders and Burkina Faso's transitional president, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, which cleared the way for the appointment of lawmakers to the new institution. Dr. Ousmane Bogoma is the AES parliamentary leader in Burkina Faso.
Today's meeting is aimed at jointly discussing the process for establishing the confederal parliament. But before beginning our working session, we considered it appropriate to meet with His Excellency Captain Ibrahim Traoré, President of Faso, Head of State and President of the Confederation of Sahel States, to seek his guidance and advice on the establishment of this confederal institution. We have now received the green light from His Excellency Captain Ibrahim Traoré to move forward quickly with the setting up of the confederal parliament. In the coming days, we will proceed with appointing the lawmakers who will make up the confederal parliament, and we will work to convene its inaugural session as soon as possible. The objective is to complete the institutional architecture of the Alliance of Sahel States. Above all, the confederal parliament is intended to represent the peoples of the confederation, ensure they are informed about the work being carried out, and serve as a platform to bring the voice of the people of the Sahel to the confederal level.
Dr. Ousmane Bogoma, AES parliamentary leader in Burkina Faso. In other news, the ECOWAS Court of Justice has launched a new electronic case management system to improve access to justice and expedite case handling across the sub-region. Available in English, French and Portuguese, the digital platform is expected to reduce delays, streamline court procedures, and improve transparency and efficiency. Court officials say the system will also make the regional court more accessible and responsive to citizens seeking justice across the ECOWAS sub-region. Yetino Sasetu has more.
The new digital platform allows users to file cases online, participate in virtual hearings, manage court documents electronically, and track the progress of cases in real time. President of the ECOWAS Court of Justice, Justice Ricardo Gonçalves, says the launch marks a major step forward in modernizing the court and improving access to justice across West Africa.
The judges now have better tools with which to manage their cases, and the court's registry will have a wholly digital and more efficient administration.
Deputy Chief Registrar of the ECOWAS Court of Justice, Mary Sain, says the system is already making justice more accessible by enabling people to use the court's services from anywhere in the region.
For a legal practitioner based in Dakar, Accra, or Praia, filing an application to this court no longer requires arranging for documents to be physically delivered in Abuja. It can be done from their office at any hour.
The ECOWAS court aims to have at least 80% of legal practitioners registered on the platform within the next 6 months. Going forward, all new cases are expected to be filed electronically as the court works toward becoming a fully digital institution by 2030. For WADR, Yechedin Sasitu in Abuja.
And just before the recap, the United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres is warning that global instability, economic hardship, and the misuse of emerging technologies are creating fertile ground for terrorism globally. Speaking at the opening of the United Nations 2026 Counterterrorism Week on Monday, the UN chief outlined steps to shift global counterterrorism efforts.
First, prevention. We must address the conditions and grievances that allow terrorism to take root. Too many people face poverty, discrimination, disenfranchisement, and violation of their rights. These wrongs do not justify terrorism. Nothing can. But they can create vulnerabilities that terrorist groups are quick to exploit. Second, cooperation. Terrorism is a transnational threat and no nation can address it alone. By deepening collaboration between states, we can close critical gaps, enhance capacity building, and leverage one another's expertise. But we can go further by working with partners who know their communities and their needs. Third, technology. Terrorists have grown adept at exploiting emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence, digital platforms, and unmanned weapons. These tools have supercharged their ability to recruit, finance, and plan attacks. But technology also offers powerful tools to detect threats early, stop the flow of illicit assets, and understand pathways to terrorist radicalization.
UN Chief Antonio Guterres speaking there. You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM, online at wadr.org, and on YouTube and Facebook at WADR. Here's a reminder of our top stories. South Africa's joint security braces for protest as June 30 deadline for migrants' departure elapses. Ghana activates emergency disaster measures as Accra flood death toll rises to 9. ECOWAS Court launches digital platform to ease accessibility to member states and citizens by 2030. AES Confederation meets to operationalize the bloc's parliamentary body. Still ahead in the news, we have the press review, guest interview, and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Changing weather patterns and food security were the core of a newly launched environmental initiative in Dakar, Senegal, known as the Climate Resilience, Agriculture, Food Systems and Transformation Craft. The scheme is supported by the government of Japan and the World Food Programme WFP as its implementation partner. The first of its kind, the $2 million project specifically targets the Matam region of Senegal, where climate-induced drought and environmental factors are affecting crop yields. Christopher Ticho was there and now reports.
The WFP-Japan partnership is supporting smallholder farmers in the Matam region in eastern Senegal, where farmers are hit by the adverse effects of climate change, such as drought and heat waves. The CRAFT project seeks to build farmers' resilience and adaptability through climate-smart farming practices, better post-harvest management, and stronger local food systems, while creating employment opportunities. Lucas Pierre is WFP's country director.
So the idea is to work with community of women and to work in particular in horticulture, gardening, to give opportunities to women to diversify their production, also to have access to market and to use innovative technology to respond to these challenges. We have identified 7 sites in the surrounding of Matam, and we will support 1,200 families.
Japan, a long-standing partner of the World Food Programme and supporting food security across West Africa, says the latest cooperation seeks to strengthen agricultural value chain. Hata Yoshaki is charged the affairs at the Embassy of Japan in Dakar.
This time, which is unique, is we're bringing Japanese companies. Each they have a specialized knowledges, so to retain more water or maybe irrigation system, but we do that by the solar system, and the PAM will be doing all these coordination together. And this is all about this craft project.
Japan says the success of the pilot phase in Senegal could open the door for the craft initiative to expand across West Africa, particularly to countries in the Sahel facing growing food insecurity. The project is being launched at a critical time as millions across the region continue to grapple with hunger driven by a combination of conflicts, climate change, weak agricultural systems, and governance challenges.
Christopher Ticho filed that report.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Well, let's take you back to Liberia, where WADR's Abraham Parker is standing by with today's press review.
This edition of Press Review features 3 local dailies. We begin with the New Dawn News paper, with the headline printed in red: Government of Liberia vows to crack down on drug cartels in Liberia. That's according to Liberia's Justice Minister. Bwaka to raise civil servants' salaries, Vice President Jeremiah Kun announces in Nimba. To the Heritage newspaper, Bwaka pushes TVET transformation. Central Bank of Liberia boss stresses coordination in policy delivery. GLS, one of the groups involved in the 19 million drug case, reports cargo discrepancies, reaffirms investigation support. Our next and final stop is front page Africa newspaper with these stories. Troubling investing. Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency on fire for whom raid, framing naked female occupant as public questions silence over US 19 million cocaine case. That's according to front page Africa newspaper. Breaking into the male-dominated transport, female electric keke drivers are breaking barriers and fighting air pollution. Well, that does it for this edition of Press Review from Liberia's capital, Monrovia. It's back to you in the studio. Thanks so kindly.
Many thanks, Abraham Parker.
Politics,
analysis on major news,
social matters, and all. This is The Guest.
Well, the guest segment this afternoon is a focus on Senegal, where a fresh political standoff is unfolding over proposed constitutional reforms. The National Assembly's ruling Pastef majority has approved a draft bill seeking sweeping changes, including reducing presidential powers and creating a constitutional court. But the government wants the reforms put to a national referendum, setting the stage for a clash between the executive and the legislature. With Senegal facing economic challenges, is a referendum necessary? And what could it cost? To unpack the issues, we are joined by Senegalese political analyst Mamadou Cho.
Yes, when you look at the political situation of the country to organize even one election, because a single election is costing us 15 billion CFA, which is really money. So, but for the president, organizing a referendum is part of this political battle we were mentioning right in the beginning. Because what it does mean, it is risky for him. But if he, in the case he organized the referendum and win it, it is a signal that the majority of Pastef maybe is going to his side. And it will be a very important point for him heading to 2029 for the presidential election. He want to take the risk, or he will take the risk or not, because it is risky. If he loses this referendum, it means that even his mandate, his term as president of Senegal, will be in jeopardy, because this will show that he has no majority, and then Pastef is holding the majority both at the different level of power.
A referendum can only be successful.
The issue you're raising was on the top of the discussion on that year, when President Macky Sall was trying to get a new, very many change in the constitution. So many Senegalese didn't understand what all these changes about. So it's up to Usman Sonko and Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who are in a political fight, to explain before the electoral campaign, during the electoral campaign, which is very short, and explain this and try to get Senegalese to understand what is at stake with this change in the constitution.
Mamadou Cho is a Senegalese political analyst. Well, in the sporting world, Sankuli Janko is in the studios for sports. Sankuli, good to have you here. But first, the FIFA World Cup knockout stage is taking shape, and Brazil left it late to book their place in the round of 16.
That's right, Abdullah. Brazil came from behind to beat Japan in the lead of the dramatic try to 32 class. Well, Keshushano gave Japan the lead before Casemiro equalized in the second half of the match. Well, Gabriel Martinez then scored deep into stoppage time to send the five-time champions Brazil to the next round. Brazil
it was
will now
a narrow
face,
escape.
It was
very
nice because it was an additional time, last minute of the additional time, and now they'll meet the winner of Cote d'Ivoire and Norway in the round of 16.
Meanwhile, Morocco made Africa proud once again. Tell us more,
Yes, they certainly did, Abdullah, because Morocco reached the FIFA World Cup round of 16 after beating Netherlands in a penalty shootout following a 1-1 draw. Well, goalkeeper Yassine Bono was the hero, making a crucial save with his stood out. At 2-2. Ismail Sabari then converted the winning penalty ahead of Atlas Lions, handing over the Netherlands their first, ever, their earliest ever World Cup exit. Now Morocco will now turn attention to round of 16 showdown with Canada on Saturday in Houston.
But that wasn't the only match decided on penalties.
Oh no, absolutely not. It wasn't, because it was the second match of the tournament to be settled by a penalty shootout. Well, earlier on Monday, Paraguay defeated Germany on penalties to book their place in the round of 16 as well.
Well, I can't just stop following the fixtures. Tell us more, Sankuli. There's a lot to happen tonight.
Indeed, and that is more World Cup action later, like you rightly said. That's right, because Cote d'Ivoire, of course, that will interest a lot of Africans, will take on Norway in the crucial round of 32 class, with a place in the round of 16 at stake. Well, kickoff is at 5 p.m. But after that, also later tonight, the tournament favorites France will take on Sweden in another kickoff fixture. That kickoff is 9 p.m. with both teams battling to keep their World Cup hopes alive.
Now, did you say the tournament favorites?
Yes, indeed. France are indeed the hot favorites. Well, together with Argentina, of course, the reigning champions. No doubt, but France, oh dear me, their team is so fascinating. It's fascinating. It's scary for France to be your opponent, because they have an amazing forward of footballers. So yes, they are the hot favorites, I would say. Yes.
But you never know, right? Never say never.
Oh no,
That's
you never say never.
Sports.
You never say never. But as far as I know, with what I saw Morocco did yesterday, I'm hopeful that we will get to the final this time around. We will go beyond the semi-finals, because Morocco are just a fascinating team. World top standard football team.
I'll leave it there.
We'll leave it there.
Many thanks, Sankuli, for the update. And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Ismaila Kamara and Mohamed Sal for the technical support. Do interact with us via social media platforms X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at WADR, and stream live at wadr.org. Coming up at the top of the hour of 1 p.m. is the second edition of our comprehensive news package in French, Info Chez Vous, with Demba Amaran. I am Abdullah Hassan. Good afternoon.
We thank you for listening to Newslink in Nigeria on Love FM Abuja and Darling FM Owerri. In the Gambia on Hot FM Banjul, Hilltop FM and Veritas Radio in Serekunda. Thank you for listening on Alternative Youth Radio Lofa County, Liberia, Radio Kegaman in Nimba County, and DCN Radio Riverses County. A big thank you to Radio Baft FM in Sierra Leone for listening, and in Ghana we thank Radio Pad in Damango and Royals FM in Wenchi. Thank you all for listening to News.